Hello everyone, this is the history tutorial video for class 9. In the previous videos we have seen how the February Revolution took place. Now we are going to see what happened afterwards, what happened after the February Revolution, what happened in October, how it happened. So let's see all of that. Let's start. We know that a provisional government was formed after the February Revolution because the Tsar Nicholas II, he abdicated the throne, he left the throne, and so a provisional government was formed. Army officials, landowners, and industrialists were very influential, very powerful in the provisional government. But the liberals, as well as the socialists, they worked towards an elected government. Restrictions on public meetings and associations were removed. So all the bans that were there on public meetings and all and organizations that were lifted. Soviets like the Petrograd Soviet. What is the Petrograd Soviet? We have discussed in the previous video. So like Petrograd Soviets were set up everywhere, though no common system of election was followed. So no common system of election was followed. Anywhere, anyway, anyone could be elected by anyone. So that was the thing. Now, this was in February. In April 1917, the Bolshevik leader Vladimir Lenin, he returned to Russia after serving his exile. He was exiled to Siberia during the Tsarist regime. He was exiled and now he came back. He and the Bolsheviks had opposed the war since 1914. So he was very much opposed to the First World War. Now he felt that it was the time for Soviets to take over power. He declared that the war would be brought to a close, land be transferred to the farmers, and banks be taken under the control of the government. Banks be nationalized. These three demands were Lenin's April thesis. So what were the demands of Lenin's April thesis? Number 1, war should be brought to a close. Number 2, land be transferred among farmers. And number 3, banks to be nationalized. He also argued that the Bolshevik party rename itself as the Communist Party to indicate its new radical aims. Most others in the Bolshevik party were initially surprised by the April thesis. They thought that the time was not yet ripe, the time hadn't come for a socialist revolution, and the provisional government needed time to work, the provisional government is to be supported. But the developments of the subsequent months changed their mindset. How? We'll see. Through the summer, the workers' movement spread. In industrial areas, factory committees were formed, which began questioning the way industrialists ran their factories. So, factory committees were formed in industrial areas which overlooked and questioned the way the factory owners and the industrialists ran the factory. Trade unions grew in number. Soldiers' committees were formed in the army. In June, about 500 Soviets sent representatives to All Russian Congress of Soviets. As the provisional government saw its power being reduced and the Bolshevik power is growing, it decided to take stern measures against the Bolshevik influence. It resisted attempts by workers to run factories and began arresting leaders. So, the provisional government started acting like the Tsarist government. Seeing that the Bolshevik power is growing, it started to oppress the Bolshevik power, it started to oppress the Bolshevik ideas, it started arresting factory leaders. It resisted attempts by workers to run factories. So the workers, they tried to take over the factories and they started to work. They began to attempt to work on their own, but the provisional government wouldn't allow that. Popular demonstrations staged by the Bolsheviks in July were sternly repressed. Many Bolshevik leaders had to go into hiding or had to flee. Meanwhile, in the countryside, in the village side, farmers and their socialist revolutionary leaders, They demanded for a redistribution of land. What is redistribution of land anyway? Redistribution is uh, taking the land and redistributing, giving it back to the farmers in a more efficient way. Land is owned by the landowners, right? And now these landowners have to give it up. This was the demand of the social revolutionaries. The landowners have to give up their land and distribute it to the farmers equally, on whose land the landowners had actually set up their business or aristocracy. This was the thesis, this was the demand of the social revolutionaries. Encouraged by the social revolutionaries, the farmers seized land between July and September 1917. So the farmers became emboldened by the social revolutionary ideas and they captured lands, they seized lands for themselves between July and September. Now, as the conflict between the provisional government and the Bolsheviks grew, Lenin feared that the provisional government would set up a dictatorship. Lenin was very much in fear of this, that the provisional government would grow into a dictatorship. The way it was acting, the way it was suppressing all dissent, the way it was arresting opposition leaders, the way it was suppressing workers' movement, it can very well grow into a dictatorship. In September, he began discussions for an uprising against the government. Bolshevik supporters in the army, Soviets, and the factories were brought together. So those who supported Bolshevism in the army, in the factories, in the government, in the Soviets, elected Soviets, all of them were brought together. On 16th October 1917, Lenin persuaded the Petrograd Soviet and the Bolshevik Party to agree to a socialist power seizure, which means capturing power from the provisional government, overthrowing the provisional government, and electing oneself to power. Right, overthrowing an oppressive regime and taking over power. A military revolutionary committee was appointed by the Soviet under Leon Trotsky. He was to organize this transfer of power. He was to organize this seizure of power. The uprising began on 24th October. Sensing trouble, the Prime Minister had left the city to summon troops. At dawn, military men who were loyal to the government, they seized the buildings of two Bolshevik newspapers. So, pro-government troops, the troops which were loyal to the government, the provisional government, they were sent to take over the telephone and telegraph offices and protect the Winter Palace. Winter Palace is where the provisional government met. Winter Palace is where the Tsar lived. So, in a swift response, the military revolutionary committee which was set up, the military revolutionary committee ordered its supporters to seize government offices and arrest the ministers. So late in that day, the ship Aurora was a war ship. It was used for war. So this Aurora ship, it bombed the Winter Palace. It actually threw bombs. It actually fired towards the Winter Palace. And other ships also sailed down the river and took over various military points. By night, the city was under the Revolutionary Committee's control and the ministers had surrendered. At the meeting of an all-Russian Congress of Soviets in Petrograd, the majority approved of the Bolshevik action. Rebellions, uprisings took place in other cities as well. There was heavy fighting, especially in Moscow. But by December, the Bolsheviks controlled the Moscow-Petrograd area. So, from October, November to December, this was the fight that took place between the provisional government and the Bolshevik army, the Bolshevik Revolutionary Committee, Military Revolutionary Committee. They took over power successfully, and that was the October Revolution. The Bolsheviks, they were totally opposed to private property. Most industries and banks were taken under the government control, were nationalized in November 1917. This meant that the government took ownership of the ownership and management of the banks and the industries. Land was declared a social property. Land was for all. So it was not a private property anymore. Land was a social property. And farmers were allowed to seize the land of the aristocracy, seize the land of the landowners. In cities, Bolsheviks enforced the partition of large houses according to family requirements. So the large houses, large mansions, that was partitioned between the poorer families according to their needs. They banned the use of old titles of aristocracy. So they banned the use of any titles that were being used in the Tsarist regime or in the provisional government, the Lord, Duke, Baron, etc. To assert the change, new uniforms were designed for the army and the officials following a clothing competition in 1918. So a clothing competition was held in 1918 where different designs were sent so as to design the new uniform the army and the officials should have, and one of those designs was selected and that became the new official uniform for the army and the officials, the government and the ministers. The Bolshevik party was renamed as the Russian Communist Party, Bolshevik in brackets, the Russian Communist Party within brackets, Bolshevik. In November 1917, the Bolsheviks conducted the elections to the Constituent Assembly, but they failed to gain a majority. In January 1918, the Assembly rejected the Bolshevik measures. So the Constituent Assembly, they disapproved of the things the Bolshevik had done. They disapproved of the Bolshevik actions in November, and in a reply to that, Lenin dismissed the Constituent Assembly altogether. This is like that meme template, modern problems require modern solutions. So that's actually, if you look at it, it is kind of funny, because the Constituent Assembly is condemning the actions of Lenin, and Lenin was so powerful by then, he dismissed the Constituent Assembly altogether. Why? Now the logic behind this action. Why did he dismiss the Constituent Assembly? He thought that the All-Russian Congress of Soviets was more democratic than an assembly elected in uncertain conditions. So when an assembly elected in uncertain conditions, it tends to become very weak so as to give more liberty to its citizens. It tries to appear democratic, it tries to differentiate itself from what has come before. What has come before? The Tsarist oppressive, the Tsarist regime. That has come before. So to differentiate itself from the Tsarist oppressive regime, the Constituent Assembly, they tried to be more democratic, they tried to be more liberal, and in this way of trying to be more democratic, trying to appear more liberal, trying to appear different from the oppressive regime before, it tends to become a weak government. Similarly, what happened with the Weimar Republic in Germany, you will come to know of it in the next chapter. So that's what Lenin feared actually, that the government was becoming too liberal, too democratic, and in turn too weak. In March 1918, despite opposition by their political allies, the Bolsheviks made peace with Germany at Brest-Litovsk. So, as Lenin's April thesis had suggested, bringing the war to a close. So, stopping the war, stopping the fight, at least in Russia. Russia should not be involved in the war anymore. So, that's why the Bolsheviks did what? Despite advices from their political allies not to do so, the Bolsheviks, the Russian Communist Party, they made peace with Germany and they stopped fighting in the First World War. They stopped participating in the First World War. In the years that followed, the Bolsheviks became the only party to participate in the elections to the All Russian Congress of Soviets, which became the parliament of the country. So the All Russian Congress of Soviets became the country's parliament, and Russia became a one-party state with only the Communist Party in power. Trade unions were kept under party control. The state police, the secret police, punished those who criticized the Bolsheviks. Many young writers and artists rallied to the party. They thronged the party with their writings and art because it stood for socialism, it stood for change, it stood for revolution, it stood for the oppressed. After October 1917, this led to experiments in art and architecture. Soviet influence, the communist influence, leftist influence in art and architecture we can see after the October Revolution. Now, what happened after October 1917? What happened after the October Revolution? When the Bolsheviks ordered land redistribution, the Russian army began to break up because soldiers who were mostly farmers, who came from farming background, they wished to go home for the redistribution and deserted. So soldiers were during the First World War, the Russian army was made into the biggest land army by recruiting, by forced recruitment from all the villages, from all the factories. Able-bodied men were forced to join the army. Now all of them wanted to go back since the war was over. All of them wanted to return to their homes for the redistribution of land. That seemed like a new thing, that seemed like an interesting thing. What happens, what they will get, what they will have to share, all of that anticipation in their minds. They wanted to go back to their homes, they wanted to go back to their villages. Now, non-Bolshevik socialists, those who were not supporters of Bolshevism or the Communist Party, non-Bolshevik socialists, liberals and supporters of autocracy, condemned the Bolshevik uprising. So, there were non-Bolshevik socialists. Who were they? The Mensheviks. The Mensheviks, the liberals, and there were also some kind of support from the autocracy as well. Autocracy was the remnants, the remainings of the Tsarist regime who still supported the Tsar, who still wished to who still wished for the Tsar to return and who wished for Russia to become an autocracy once again. So they condemned the Bolshevik uprising. Their leaders moved to South Russia and organized troops to fight the Bolsheviks. Bolsheviks were called the Reds. During 1918 and 1919, the socialist revolutionaries, they were called the Greens, and the pro-Tsarists, the pro-autocracy people, they were called the Whites. So the Greens and the Whites controlled most of the Russian Empire. And the Greens and the Whites were backed by French, American, British and Japanese troops because all of them were very worried about the growth of communism in Russia. As these troops and the Bolsheviks fought a civil war, loot, banditry and famine became very common. So the French, the American, the British and the Japanese, all the big powers in the world, they supported the pro-Tsarists and the socialist revolutionaries who were opposed to communists. The communists were the Red and the socialist revolutionaries were the Greens and the pro-Tsarists were the Whites. So this was a civil war that was taking place between the Russians. All of them were Russians actually, but they were different groups. So this was the Russian civil war which took place right after the October Revolution, and we'll see how Lenin works his way out through this civil war, and how he maintains the Russian Communist Party in power, how he keeps his party in power, how he defeats these traitors and backstabbers, as they called. We will see all of that in the next video. Till then, bye.